Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with the man that is so smooth. He does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real, still the real Anthony D. And your main man, Jersey's finest, the hood representative, Uncle Freezy. Yeah, man. When you listen to Marvin Gaye, bro, you hear that Marvin, you like, man, Marvin put you in a time, bro.
Marvin is gonna set the mood.
Marvin put you in a time, bro.
The mood. He's just so gifted. You know what I mean? He's just so. Marvin is singing. I Want You. He's singing all the parts.
Yeah.
He's singing all of that. Ooh, all of that is Marvin.
Marvin, man. All that's Marvin. And Marvin.
All of that is Marvin.
Marvin got you out here thinking about your job. He got you thinking about your woman. Marvin out here got you thinking about politics and street life and everything all at one time. And you just locked in a space where you like, Dad, the job got me mad. And my old lady.
It just came so easy for him.
It just came so easy.
So easy for him. And it's so easy that it's tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you ever follow, Marvin's story, and it's such a tragedy that a father has to kill his own son. You know what I mean? That's the final result, which is so tragic.
Yeah.
But just leading up into those moments, he's born in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Civil rights and protests and Vietnam and this and all of that. And you know what I mean? And he's making pop music first because that's what the brand was about.
Yeah.
Because he's good looking, all the women
rich, popular,
and he gets married early.
Right.
Because he marries
to an older woman.
He got that old sauce that one time. Ooh, it was a rap. It was better than Franks and Beans.
It's better than Coney Island right here.
Marvin got that old sauce one time. It was like, I does.
Yeah.
But anyway, Freezy, we need to say good morning to the people. Salute.
Good morning to the people.
Nation, once again, for joining Uncle Freezy and myself. You know how we pick up, where we pick up.
Yeah, man. But let me, before we get started, though, what is your favorite Marvin Gaye song?
I Want You.
Ooh.
Yeah. Remember that's when instrumentals used to come in for like the first minute or so.
Yeah. To get your soul right, it primed the pump. You know what
I'm saying? And then he just goes ham. Then he just goes absolutely bananas after that.
Man.
So that and I remember as a kid when Sexual Healing tore the place apart.
Oh my God. Yeah, man.
When he just seemed to be like everything had seemed to be behind him.
Right.
And I think he wins a Grammy. Like, who gives a F about a Grammy? But he wins because it seemed like he was back and he's back on top, and next thing you know, we're hearing tragedy like
Breaking
6 months,
news.
like 8 months later.
Yeah, man. So my favorite Marvin song is What's Going On. I think my favorite. It's not my favorite album, right? Because the Trouble Man soundtrack. Okay, I mentioned that over. You're not really grown until you hear the Trouble Man soundtrack, right?
Trouble Man is serious. All his works, even the work that he did when he was broke and he had to pay his wife, he had to pay her in music.
Yeah.
And that album, what was it? What's it called? Hear My Dear.
Yeah, very
and
slow.
one of them.
Yeah.
When he is like in total agony, when he is screaming her name out, Anna.
Yeah.
Anna.
Yeah.
And he goes totally, but that is some pain for you.
Yeah, man.
And the thing is, the album sold double wood.
Yeah. But because the album was so technologically advanced and ahead of its time that when you heard it then, you didn't know quite what you was. It's like the early days of auto-tune. Like the early days of auto-tune, you was like, what is this? He said this like robots, right? And then there was an auto-tune era where if you didn't have auto-tune on your song was whack.
Yeah,
that's
because
what
monkey see, monkey do.
Monkey see, monkey do.
But the thing was when Roger Zapp first came with that, and rest in peace, because he was oh my God, was he a monster, right? It wasn't like everybody jumped on it.
Nah.
I remember that, and I remember a couple of years later, Computer Love.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it for like that I can remember, at least. And I'm a music person that I can remember. It wasn't like everybody of that time decided to make a Roger Zapp type of record, because first of all, it was like, what is he doing?
Right.
He has this thing in his mouth connected to his organ piano or his organ guitar, whatever, and these strange. The only thing that I could liken it to is when I saw, you remember a movie called Police Academy.
Yeah.
1. Yeah. And the sidekick, he used to make all these noise with his mouth, and he could do everything. Michael Winslow, right? He could do everything. That was the only thing that was really like it back then.
Because he could do the robot with his
I love that movie, Police Academy.
Yeah, I love Police Academy.
That was my. I must have watched that movie like a million times when it came out. Yeah,
that and Revenge of the Nerds, bro. Revenge of the
Nerds. What? I saw both of those. I saw all of those in the movies.
In the movies, bro.
In the movies.
I was talking to Mo about that. Like I was going Journal Square in Jersey City and watching those in the movies. And just being amazed about that in the movies, but
that you can laugh so hard
over silly,
that wasn't about nothing.
Right?
Because if you think about it, who's making a movie today laughing at the police? I'll wait.
Yeah.
Who's making a Dragnet?
Right.
I'll wait.
Right.
It's not happening. The times are serious. Not that the times were any less serious, but you could laugh at yourself. And that was when did Police Academy 1? Because Police Academy goes to 1, 2, 5, 10. But 1, 2, and 3 are my favorites. But 1 comes out in 82, 83, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a smash from there. So salute to
them and the Naked Gun come out around the same time, bro. And
Naked Gun comes out a little bit after, but it's in that same
Yeah.
In that same, like, who's making Naked Gun today? You're not.
Nah, you ain't making
You're
nah.
not. For the mere fact that O.J. Simpson was attached to anything Naked Gun, I'm like, nah, we ain't gonna do that.
Nah,
We ain't gonna do that.
They don't even put Naked Gun on TV no more, bro. And
Nah,
Naked
we
Gun
ain't
was
gonna do that.
hilarious. Yeah.
Naked Gun was absolutely hilarious. So where we at, Freezy? Sorry, fans. You know how we tend to
Yeah, man. It's
tend to
old school
bend the
Knicks,
corner.
man. It's old school Knicks, baby. It's how we set the context and the
Set the
background.
mood.
Yeah, it's how we
your
set it. It's how we set the guardrail, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Get us the mindset, and then we jump into the next conversation that is the topic of the day or the topic du jour, whichever one we whichever one we want to go with. But AD hit me up earlier, and what's up with this foolishness where former NBA players start talking about former NBA players disrespectfully? What's good with it? I don't understand it.
Well, just to be totally transparent, the conversation was about, I was listening to Gilbert Arenas' podcast and so forth, and I think this might have been like 2 or 3 months ago, but I just kind of really looked at it sometime last night or the day before, and at some point they have Dwight Howard on the show. So they're talking about the top 75 and does he feel disrespected and who is on the list. And instead of them just going like, okay, Dwight, do you feel like you should have made it? Right? They then give him the alley-oop and they throw Ewing's name into the conversation. And Dwight, you think you're better than Patrick Ewing? Right? So, number one, what competitor is not going to say he's better than the next person, right? Or peer or whatever, even though they're not really peers, but they were a part of the same fraternity, the big man fraternity. And they go on into this, he's better rebounder, he had more All-NBAs and this, that, and then Howard is like, yeah, but they were like universally like he's better than Pat. And I damn near jumped up off my couch. Right? I'm like, when was Howard ever the focal point of his team?
Of anything.
I'll wait.
When was he the focal point of anything? Not just of a team, right? But maybe of anything. Maybe a USA team, a college team.
When?
Never.
Pat takes his Georgetown team to 3 straight college finals. I'm sorry, Howard never went to college.
Right.
Geometry missed him in high school. I get it.
Right. But AD, but the thing about Pat is 3 straight college championships, right? When he got to those college championships, bro, it wasn't like he just rolled up on nobodies when he was in college, bro. Like when Pat got to them championships in college, he was playing against future top 75 NBA players. All right, we can't just look at that lightly. Like when he played against Jordan in the final, right?
Oh, that's when the torture started.
Right. He played against, I think Sam Perkins was on the 83 team.
Yeah. Perkins was on that team. Worthy was on that team.
Matt Doherty was on that team. It was
that Carolina team was stacked.
What are we even talking about?
What are we talking about? I'm like, Howard gets drafted. I remember when they were going to draft it, there was a debate between him and Okafor.
What are we talking about? Dwight Howard, relax.
Because nobody had seen him.
Right.
All we saw was whose father is he, right? Like, whose son is this? Because this dude is chiseled looked like them tore him out of a mountain.
Right.
We hadn't seen him play.
Right.
He's a high schooler. You have to take your lead from those scouts who'd seen him play. Like, nah, he's something to be special.
Nah, this dude, if he learns anything, this dude could be the GOAT That was the conversation.
Because a blind, deaf, dumb man knew who the hell Pat was.
Right.
He was the biggest thing. The moment he hit the scene as a high schooler, pre-internet, pre-everything, he's the biggest thing in the country.
Yep.
His press conference to go to Georgetown made national news.
Yeah. Yeah. Mind you, Pat could have easily have gone to one of the traditional Big East schools. Easily. St. John's, Syracuse, at the time, Providence College. The Georgetowns, the Seton Halls, they didn't really get their reputation in the Big East until Pat Ewing got there. And after, that's when you kind of hear about the Seton Halls and the Georgetowns, right? But Georgetown was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. You feel me? Georgetown wasn't a thing until Pat Ewing. Pat Ewing laid down the framework for Hoya Paranoia. Hoya Paranoia wasn't a thing until Pat Ewing.
The Big East wasn't a thing until Pat got there.
Yeah, well, yeah.
This is facts.
Right.
Let me ask you a question, Freezy.
Chris Mullin too. Let's give Chris Mullin a little credit too.
No, he gets credit, but he's not that guy.
No, he wasn't Pat. No.
Put them all in, all of them. Pearl Washington, Pitney, all of them. You can put them all together. If you don't have Pat in the Big East, they're not special.
No, they're not special. It's just another good conference.
It's just another good conference.
Yeah.
You put him in the Big East, they're special. But my question to you, Freezy, how much do you value intensity in a professional athlete, and especially in basketball?
Come on, man. Bro, let's start there. That's why I start the conversation.
When the hell did Dwight Howard ever appear intense? When did he ever appear totally focused? This man wanted to be a clown prince on the court.
This man showed up to a dunk contest and cosplay. We should have saw the signs. Right there, bro.
Like, where are his memorable series? Who, better than that, who are when he comes into the league, who are his contemporaries at the time? Who are his big men?
You don't remember. You don't remember who they are.
You got Shaq that's on his way out. Yao Ming, bad feet.
Yeah, Yao Ming was in his prime when Dwight Howard showed up, though.
Ben Wallace.
Brad Miller. Remember Brad Miller?
Brad Miller.
Remember Chris Kaman?
Chris Kaman.
Yeah.
You go run game one, Ewing has to go up against Moses Malone.
Nazi Muhammad? Remember Nazi Muhammad?
Nazi Muhammad, yes. And I did like Nazi's little stretch here as a Nick.
Marcus Camby was
Marcus Camby.
8th, 10th year. Yeah.
These are not Hall of Fame players outside of Shaq and Yao Ming. These are not Hall of Fame players we're talking about.
Yeah.
Ewing starts off
Tim
with
Duncan
Moses.
was old. Tim Duncan was
like in his going to be in his twilight.
Yeah.
He comes at a time where with his athleticism, it looks even more not taking anything away from his athletic ability, because he was absolutely one of the most pure, athletically gifted, big, small, whatever that this game has ever seen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But who were his guys that he was going up against? Ewing starts with Moses. Kareem is on the tail end. Kareem wins a championship in Ewing's time.
Yeah.
Hakeem, Parrish, Mourning, Dikembe.
Yeah.
I could go down the list.
Robert Parrish won a championship during
Robinson, Sabonis.
Yeah.
Look at their points per game average.
I don't know why you keep leaving off my guy. You keep leaving off my guy, Jeff Rulin. Jeff Rulin was in the league.
Mike Jaminski.
Yeah.
Brad Daugherty.
Yeah. Dan Issel was still playing during Pat Ewing's prime. Jack
Like,
Sigma was still
what
playing.
what are we talking about? And this is the thing that irks the hell out of me when I hear these guys, because I'm a fan of everyone. Gilly was one of my favorite players in the 2000s, right? But when I hear these guys talk about players, especially the older guys, there is such a disrespect and a disregard for the game that these guys built and ushered in.
Right.
So it made me go over the top 75,
Right.
right? Are they guys in the top 75 you could be like, yeah, I'll take out? Yeah, okay.
Like who though?
I don't think Russell Westbrook is a top 75 ball player.
Is it because we're watching the end of his career?
No.
Okay. Okay.
If I had my pick between one of these three guys, Russell, Kyrie Irving, and Dame Lillard, Russ is third.
Mm.
And it's not because Russ Westbrook is the kind of effort-wise, is the kind of ball player that every ball player should strive to be.
Right.
You never have to worry about this man's effort.
Never.
You never have to worry about will he show up for a game
Or his commitment.
or his commitment levels or anything
passion.
like that.
You ain't got to worry about. You ain't never got to tell him to get his energy up. Ever.
No, at all. But have I seen better players, especially at that position? I just named two. Right? I don't think Dominique is a top 75 ball player. Not over Bernard.
Not over Alex English, bro.
Not over Alex English. No. I'm just talking about straight ball play. Remember something. We fall in love with guys in the extreme athletic ability, and nobody was more than Dominique Wilkins, right? But that's a lot of where his baskets come from, his athletic ability. 15-footers consistently? No.
Yeah, and for those that don't remember Dominique Wilkins' game, because a lot of young cats want, or a lot of the older cats want. See, we got a mixed audience, right? But when it comes to the Dominique Wilkins style of play, bro, for the old heads, y'all remember Elgin Baylor? Remember Elgin Baylor was like 6'5", like 225, kind of like Anthony Edwards, kind of like in that body style. But man, my uncle said Elgin Baylor jumped for a rebound, and the woman met him up there and did his hair while he was in the air. And that man just stayed there till his hair was perfect. And then he came back down and dunked it on the whole crowd. Elgin Baylor could jump out of...
His numbers are off the charts.
Right.
He has a year, I think he averaged 19 and a half rebounds as a 6'5" guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why Wilt's numbers validates even more, right? Mm-hmm. Because people say, "Oh, he's 7'1", he's posted." But Elgin Baylor did it at 6'5".
Right. And was smooth around the rim. And was
effort is effort. Yeah. Know-how is know-how.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I'm saying basically what I'm getting at is the Dwight Howard archetype has always existed. Dwight Howard, though, the reason why Dwight Howard was effective is because Dwight Howard did it at center, right? 6'10" superior athletes always existed. We traded for one on draft night with Antonio McDyess, right? The 6'10" super athlete has always existed, Dwight Howard. Don't think that you're unique, because you're not, right? Generally, what we're used to seeing at 6'10" is a tree stump type guy like Moses Malone, who is not super athletic, but he is so strong that you can't move him, right? You can't move. Is Dwight Howard better than Moses Malone at 6'10"? No. Like, what are we talking about?
When did Ewing play with James Harden, a James Harden type?
Never.
when did he play with a Kobe and decided that that situation wasn't good enough for him? See, all of these things come into play.
Right.
As I told you on the phone, if Ewing has Kobe at any stretch of his career, he at least has a title.
Right.
Ewing at 30, Ewing at between 28 to 32, if he has Kobe, he has 2 or 3.
Right.
You think Ewing would walk out of a situation like that? Why? Because that other guy is so demanding, because he wants you to work hard, because he doesn't want you to be a clown every day. That has to be a part of the equation as well. These failed stops, back injury aside. When he left Orlando, it was a shit show from there on in. Let's just keep it a buck. When Dwight Howard left Orlando, it was a shit show from there on in. One mistake here, one mistake there. He goes to, let's go to LA. Let's stop at LA for a second.
Right.
When he gets to LA, I think, is D'Antoni the coach at the time? I think D'Antoni's the coach, or
Yes.
he's about to be the coach.
Yep.
So he's going to be in a system that is extremely pick and dive friendly, pick and roll friendly for someone that you just can't stop when he's rolling into the lane like that, right? With a 4-time NBA champion at the time, or a 3-time NBA champion who's 31 at the time, 32, still very good, still an assassin.
Yo, salute to Andios. Andios said he about to start his birthday. Happy birthday to the Saint Andios. And
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all follow him on Instagram, on IG. Our people. Happy birthday, boss.
Salute. No doubt. But look at that and how that crumbles and falls apart. And that's when I was listening to these guys, and he apologized, or not apologized, but he regretted that time with Kobe. You think Ewing would have wasted that moment with Kobe?
AD, what if the Knicks merely had traded to get Mitch Richmond to accompany Starks and Pat Ewing? I think our entire existence is different.
Yeah, because you had a bona fide bucket getter.
A bona fide, that was a willing passer.
That's what they needed.
And a sweet shooter from the outside.
Yeah, a shooter, a spacer, a bona fide bucket getter. I was watching yesterday before I got to the whole Howard and whatever. And let's move away from there before I even get more belligerent. Right? Because I fucking love I jumped up off my couch. It's like, what are you talking? But anyway,
what are we talking about? Because there are two subjects there that you're speaking about, in my opinion, right, that are running parallel to each other. First of all, it's the Dwight Howard should never even say Pat Ewing's name. And then it's the older retired players comparing themselves to other retired players of a different era. Right? Right. And so on the one hand, Gilbert Arenas thinks he's Steph Curry before Steph Curry. Right? And so he's on an anger management tour, right, where he's trying to methodically chip away at the legacy of other older players that he feels like he could have been better than if he did not have injuries, right? But there are a trailer load of players that would have been better than Gilbert Arenas if they didn't encounter injuries, right? We could start with Tracy McGrady. We could start with Grant Hill, right? So for the Gilbert Arenas anger management tour, let's realize who you are, right? Gilbert Arenas is a second round pick out of Arizona who who settled into a lane with nobody in it. And while he was in that lane, he absolutely thrived, right? Because nobody was in that lane. But as soon as people started to occupy that lane, people forgot about Gilbert Arenas, because what it is Gilbert Arenas wasn't special. That lane was special, right? So Gilbert Arenas thought he was special, but no, Gilbert Arenas, it wasn't you that was special. It was that lane that was special, right? And the guys that played and the guys that were in that lane, the Mark Prices of the world, the Mahmoud Abdul Raufs of the world that were in that lane, they all encountered the same thing you encountered. Very brief primes ended short for one reason or another, but mainly because of injuries. And that's why that lane was not occupied, because people get in that lane, they get hurt. Now the lane is empty again. But Gilbert Arenas acts like he created that lane. Gilbert Arenas, you did not create the 6'1", 6'2" sharpshooter lane, bro.
But I think, for me at least, it's his disdain for media.
Right.
I think at times clouds the overall perspective, and especially in this particular area.
Right.
Because as they're interviewing Dwight, and no, this interview I think came like 6 or 7 months ago, because
Right.
they were tap dancing around his personal situations that had leaked and stuff like that, and
Okay.
we already know what was going on
Hey
there.
man, I don't care
Right,
about.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Right, but it seemed like they were kind of like I said, giving him a prop, a layup, just because, without fairly going over that top 75 before Howard came on the show.
Right.
Right? And not have to make him feel like he needs to defend what he did in his prime years. Because you can't have the yin without the yang. You can't tell him, oh, you were great here, here, here. If Patrick Ewing's gonna get reminded about the finger roll forever,
Right.
right? In a series that wouldn't have gone to game 6 if he doesn't hit the game-winning shot in game 5.
Right. What are we talking about?
Or get to game 7 if he doesn't hit the game-winning shot in game 6.
Right. Right.
But we forget all about that. See, we forget all about that. The league didn't even want him to make the finals when they beat Cleveland that year. You remember that? It was like the biggest letdown since when Houston beat LA on that last winning shot
86.
that stopped another Lakers
Celtics.
Celtics.
Yeah.
The league office like, yo, what the is going on out here?
Right.
It was the same thing, because they would get, everybody wanted to see LeBron Kobe
versus Kobe.
LeBron Kobe.
Yeah.
Right? When Howard got there, it was like, who are you?
Right.
Do you remember that series?
Right.
No.
But it was AD, it was not even Dwight Howard. It's the case where, like I just mentioned about Gilbert Arenas, where innovation beat the odds, not the player. Right? Because basically what Orlando did was revamp the Olajuwon Rockets, where you put a guy in a post, right? And then you put 4 shooters around him that can knock down the 3 at any time, right? And basically what they did, they went from remember what happened is the archetype was the Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons for years before Orlando, right? LeBron arrives, Dwight Howard arrives, and now you draft probably the 2 most athletic guys ever in a back-to-back draft, right? You draft LeBron in 2003, an athletic freak, and then you draft Dwight Howard in 2004, number 1, an athletic freak. And they lead their franchises in a way to knock off the old guard Indiana Pacers and Detroit Pistons, right? But it takes them a little bit of time, but how they do it is systems. right? LeBron is the small forward, but he acts as a point forward, right? And Dwight Howard is the hub offensively and defensively because, to his credit, he could pass out of the post, though he didn't have dominant post moves early on. He could pass out of the post, right? Charles Barkley did it with the old Phoenix Suns. Olajuwon did it with the Rockets. And Dwight Howard did it 20 years later or 15 years later, right? But the thing is, nobody wanted to see that, bro. They wanted to see LeBron and Kobe. And when Orlando knocked off Cleveland, bro, everybody packed it up for the summer. Nobody watched that finals.
It was like the biggest letdowns. Like, oh my
the
God,
season is over.
The season is over.
Yeah,
it was so bad, right? LeBron here's another thing that people don't talk about. LeBron walks off the court, doesn't even acknowledge him.
Yeah.
That's how disgusted he was. And Cleveland Cleveland had a better year that year. I think Cleveland won, what was it, 66 games?
Cleveland won a lot of games.
67 games or something like that.
Yeah, they won a lot of games with a bad roster.
With Mo Williams and all, but they played well together. And that was LeBron at
apex.
Yes. For me, at least. Yeah. That's him at some of his best moments.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like no disrespect to Howard. Like I started the conversation saying, tremendously athletically gifted. Yeah. A Hall of Famer? Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the top 75 ball players? You could pick or choose or however. But to say he's better than Pat, just to reach and pick out a guy who's his accomplishments in this league, since he becomes a player, since he becomes on the scene, it's like the sun. In comparison, you're like whatever little asteroid that's like floating down somewhere. Like his main competition is Michael Jordan. Who's yours?
Ooh.
Oh wait.
Ooh.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
If we go, and it's bad to have to put him in a situation like that. So why even bring it up at all?
Okay. It's if Dwight Howard was snubbed, there are other snubs, right? Like Klay Thompson, right? But is Dwight Howard a better overall player? Did he have a better career than Tony Parker?
No.
Who did not make the list?
No.
Did he have a better overall career than Bernard King?
No.
Did he have a better overall career than Alex English?
No. But when they pick...
What about Vince Carter?
There's an argument for Vince, right? When I looked over, there's an argument for Vince. But to be fair, Freezy, is that we have to remember there's still people who are 70, 80, even older than that are still living. That saw their guys in their eras that will debate you all day and say, hey, no, my guy was better. So you just can't just take everybody from the last 40 to 50 years or take more so of the last 20 years versus over the last 50 to 60. You have to have some, because if you do that, then basically you're saying that they wasn't shit.
But AD,
they built the league.
AD, but my point is, before you take somebody off the top 75, can you prove that you're better than the people 76 through 90? That's my point. Are you better than the people 76 through 90? Right? Because you're not going to tell me the 88th best player should be in the top 75. I'm sorry. Right? Like, I don't think that man is better than, I don't think impact-wise, I don't think Dwight Howard is better than Tracy McGrady.
No, but I'll give you, here's where the league went wrong, right? And I'm going to go to the league overall with this. Remember when they first came up with the top 50?
Yep.
They had Shaq and Anthony Hardaway on the top 50, and they had only been in the league like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Over Bernard King.
It was just it was ridiculous. Like you're projecting them to be, there already before their career is not even a quarter on the way.
Yeah.
That's when it was laughable.
Yeah.
And this is no disrespect. Of course, you could, barring injury, you saw what Shaq was going to
If
be.
the list comes out in 96, right? How are you going to put Shaq and Penny on it?
Madness. They don't been in the league 3 and 4 years.
Shaq was in 4 years. Penny was in the league 3 years.
3.
Yeah. Yeah.
You literally insulted everybody that was in the league. You could say, hey, they would have been better when it came to the top 60 to put them there. Right? Projecting them 10 years in, you guys are going to make it, but, you guys got to wait. It's pecking order.
Right.
Like, not because you're the hot and the latest in any era doesn't mean that you get to just totally outshine the guys that came before you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, life didn't start when you started.
Right. Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? That's what. So when I see these guys talk about the games, I'm like, you didn't see Pat play. I know you didn't see Pat play because your argument is so weak.
Right.
Like there's such a thing called the 90s basketball. After the Bulls, who's the next best team in the 90s?
Right. Right. Right.
They don't have a championship, yes. But who's the next best team? Look at their year to year. I think they won. Is it 62 games in 93? The Knicks? Is it 62?
I think so.
62, right? I think their home record was 39-2.
Right.
They had won on a 20. They didn't lose another home game until the Charles Smith Game 5. They had won 28 straight home games.
Yep.
It's Pat. When was Dwight Howard ever mentioned in the MVP conversation at any point in time in his career?
Oh, see, I knew you were gonna go there, bro. I knew.
Pat, give me his bodies. Is that when I argue with my nephew, and I'm talking greats? I normally go, show me the bodies. Show me his bodies.
Right.
Ewing has Isaiah Thomas. Let's start there. Larry Bird. Let's start there. Scottie Pippen. Let's start there. McHale. I can go on and on and on.
Hey,
show me Howard's bodies.
But you naming the obvious. How about we name the guys that the Knicks had to see? Because the Knicks, before you got to McHale and Bird and them, you had to fight through the pack. Bro, you had to beat the Paul Presseys in Milwaukee.
Charles Barkley.
Milwaukee was probably the most consistent team of the 1980s outside of, the usual suspects.
Absolutely.
Right? Milwaukee had Paul Pressey, Ricky Pierce, Alvin Robertson. Remember they had Don Nelson? Remember they had Don Nelson? And
give me 5 seconds.
Don Nelson left, and then they hired Terry Stotts. Yeah, come on, bro. What are we talking about, man? Yeah, man. Oh my God, bro. What I'm saying about that Pat Ewing era, bro. Oh man, listen, man. Shout out to the Knicks, man. Pat Ewing is the greatest center of all time, in my opinion. This Dwight Howard conversation just makes me nauseous. Shout out to Rel. I see Relly Rel in the building. Salute. Rel says he was top 3 MVP candidate multiple times behind LeBron. Yeah. I just think that era of basketball was down. I think that 2000s, that late 2000s era was down. As a matter of fact, how I know the late 2000s era was down was because as soon as rookies started coming into the league, you forgot about Dwight Howard. Like, as soon as Kevin Durant was drafted, ain't nobody cared about Dwight Howard no more, bro. When Derrick Rose was drafted, nobody cared about Dwight Howard, bro. Steph Curry, Nobody cared about Dwight Howard. There was a draft, the Steph Curry draft. There was so many dudes drafted in that draft that you forget. James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, Tyreek Evans. There were so many guys. There were so many guys drafted in the Steph Curry draft that
Jordan
people forgot
Hill.
about. Yeah, yeah. People forget. People forgot about Dwight Howard off the rip. Dwight Howard became an afterthought, right? And no disrespect to Dwight Howard in his career, but Dwight Howard really only had like a 6-year prime. And if we're gonna take 6-year primes, and if we're gonna take 6 to 7 year primes as the mandate for putting you on the top 75 list, then I'm thinking about adding some Tracy McGrady's, some Grant Hills, some guys like maybe even guys that'll get on the radar, like Reggie Lewis. He might not make it, but you could put him on the radar. Like he could probably be in that top 150 conversation.
Yeah, there's guys that there's real legitimate, like I said, Earl of Pearl is not on the top 75.
What are we talking? Earl of Pearl in today's NBA would average 47 a game, bro.
And people will look at listen and say, well, how many New York Knicks do you want?
All of them.
It's fair.
All of them.
It's fair. Like I said, you could take the Busher off.
I wouldn't take Dave DeBusschere off, but because Dave DeBusschere is Draymond Green before Draymond Green.
Okay, but would you take him over Rasheed Wallace?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Rashid is an extremely skilled big man that could be your weak side shot blocker. But we see that guy now, bro. We see the Jaren Jackson Jr.'s of the world and take him for granted.
Yeah, but first of all, Jaren Jackson Jr. is no Rasheed Wallace. That's one.
No, I'm talking about the archetype.
That archetype, right. Yeah. But Rasheed was we didn't really see that like that. He just comes along in a time when the West, and I think we talked about this last week, when the power forwards in the West, it was just so noticeably, they're dominant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, if you want to make some maneuvers, you can make a maneuver there. If you want to, I'll give you another one. Reggie Miller, Klay Thompson. I'm an era guy. I'll take Miller. But if you had put Klay Thompson if you had picked Klay over Miller, can you really argue that? Can you really argue that? That man is a part of, he's not the passenger on the bus. He has 4 championships?
Right.
One of the best shooting guards of his era. Plus, with that, on top of that, you know what I mean? You could make that argument that he's a better player than Reggie Miller.
As I look at the list, I think the list is point guard and shooting guard biased. Like there are so many guards on the list. Like for instance, Hal Greer, who I love. I think Hal Greer and Dave Bing are 2 names that legit get forgotten about in history because the further you get away from them, the less info you have on them.
And right? The game is so different.
But is would you put a 1960s Devin Booker on the list? No, because he's just a scoring machine.
No.
He didn't make an impact. Right? Would you put Devin Booker on the top 75 list right now? No. Right, that's what I'm saying. So would you put Hal Greer was what, 6'2", 6'3"? Dave Bing was what, 6'4"? Right. So would you put them see, I would start the list there. Right? If it's just a carbon copy of something else, then I would prefer the original. Right? Like the mere fact that we left off that they left Pau Gasol off the list makes me think that the list is guard bias. Is he better than Dwight Howard though? He's more accomplished than Dwight Howard.
I'll give you another one, right? Let's have this argument. Is KG better than Paul Gasol? Gotta think about that. Gotta really think. You gotta really think about that. Because I remember when Amari Stoudemire was trying to put this label on Gasol as being soft.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, Amari, what are you talking about, my guy?
So a 250-pound power forward that won't play center calls another 250-pound power forward that won't play center soft. What are we talking about?
Like, did you watch Gasol carry them home in the finals and that against Orlando and the second time against Boston?
Right.
Like, oh, that's right, because you were never in the finals. Right. You were never close to a finals, so you wouldn't really know. You about as close as I was.
Right. Yeah.
Right? You about as close as I was. So, and I'm not saying Gasol is better than KG, right? But if Gasol was there and KG wasn't, would you?
I think Paul Gasol offers different things. Like KG's defense is definitely better.
Yes.
But Paul Gasol's offense is definitely better. Definitely.
Look at their numbers. Look at KG's numbers.
Late KG is probably Horace Grant type offense, right? Not really.
You know what I was going to say? I was going to say he's more Jimmy Butler-ish, but bigger.
Yeah,
KG's not taking 20 shots a game.
No.
Right? His highest might have been 15 a game.
Right.
Because he's such a good team player, pass the ball, the energy, the leadership. We already know what KG brings to the table.
Right.
Right? But if you have to keep going back to him, he's not giving you 30.
No, he ain't giving you 30. Because it's hard in the NBA. It's hard being a two-way player. It's hard being an elite defender and an elite offensive player. That's why when you talk about the GOAT conversations, that's why when you talk about the Pat Ewings or the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, then I'm with you, because a dude provides an elite level of defense and an elite level of offense and offensive skill, right? But when you're talking about guys that were, this is the reason why I think Dwight Howard and Pat Ewing shouldn't even be in the same stratosphere. Pat Ewing could create his own offense. Dwight Howard could not create his own offense. And Dwight Howard had more physical tools. But here's the thing. Pat Ewing at age 30 could create his own offense, where Dwight Howard was already having knee procedures to get his knees right just so that he could play. Right? And Pat didn't have, if Pat had the technology that Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant were using during that time, Pat Ewing probably would have still been averaging 30 points a game. Right? But that's neither here nor there, because he didn't have it, so you can't use that as an excuse. But the mere fact that Pat Ewing was still an efficient elite scorer at age 33, 34, and 35, and by the time Dwight Howard was 34, he was a journeyman big off the bench for the Lakers, squashes the entire argument. What are we even talking about, Dwight Howard? At 34, you were a rotational big off the Lakers bench with JaVale McGee and Andre Drummond. Just the mere fact that I say that is enough to say Dwight Howard and Pat Ewing shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath.
I'm sorry, and I see Rel says he was top 3 MVP candidates multiple times behind LeBron. Who were his contemporaries at that time?
And that was in a watered down era. You talking about old Vince? You talking about the Dirk era?
Is he better than Dirk?
No, you talking about the
Okay.
you talking about the old Dirk, Mehmet Okur. Mehmet Okur was his contemporary, bro.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, again, it's no shade. Well, it's a lot of shade on Dwight because I didn't like the fact that he would say, and he did say that he was better than Pat. Like, Pat was your teacher, my guy.
Come on, man. You
That's
ain't
another
better.
thing. That's another thing. You got to be a little bit classier than that. Pat was your teacher. Pat
Yeah.
was your coach. Pat showed you what it was like to work, to be in the NBA, because you turn to your left, like, what better person to learn from? Like,
Then
he's one of the greatest in my positions. Whether you like him or not, you walk into the locker room, that's Patrick Ewing.
right, right. Before you get in the locker room, people gonna be like, "Yo, Pat Ewing is in the locker room."
It's Pat Ewing.
Yeah, come
You
on,
know,
man.
all you gotta do is put on this video standing tall. Remember that? Remember that documentary of him? Like, I mean, we just forget as time goes on. No, he didn't win the championship. No, I don't believe he's the greatest center of all times.
Yes,
But
yeah.
but we're just not gonna just belittle his accomplishments. Like, every time and the thing is, Gillian then wasn't the first person that I heard was ready to pluck him off of the top 75. I'm like, yo, what are y'all talking about?
What are we talking about, bro?
What are we talking about? But
Yeah, Dwight Howard's prime is like Dwight Howard in his absolute bag is probably 2010, right? Where he is probably the best he's ever gonna be, right? His offense is there, his defense is there, he's healthy, right? He's probably one of the best players in the game. But in 2010, bro, who cares? Don't nobody care about 2010 Dwight Howard, bro. Kevin Durant is in the league. What are we talking about? 2010, LeBron is having a press conference in Connecticut. Nobody cares about Dwight Howard,
they
bro.
were just happy with him being the clown prince.
Yeah,
He's in Orlando. They're like, Orlando, we fixed it. We know Shaq left. We'll give you this gift.
Yeah.
If you don't mess it up and draft Okafor, mind you, Okafor is a great college basketball player.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just never.
Ironically, him and Dwight Howard are about the same size, 6'9".
Yeah, 6'10".
260.
Yeah,
You know,
but Howard was just, the moment you genetically yoked. The moment you saw him, it was like, whoa.
Yeah, he different.
Whoa, he is different. And he could jump out there, but he was just one of the. It's like, you don't take the game serious enough for me to put you on those levels, even though those guys didn't win it.
Right.
Like, intensity matters.
Intensity matters, bro. What are we talking about? Dwight Howard shouldn't even be in a conversation with the greatest centers of all time.
No,
right? Because if we're just
not to me, you're gonna take. To me, I'm taking 9 or 10 guys before I look at Dwight.
If we're talking about Dwight Howard, I would probably take Ben Wallace first.
Whoa, I don't know if I'm gonna go that far.
Yeah, but if we're going by rebounding and defensive player of the year awards, Ben Wallace has more.
Yes, he does.
And Ben Wallace won championships.
Yes, he does. And Ben was one of my favorite players, but Ben gave you nothing offensively.
Yeah.
A little something. He gave you a little something.
He ain't give you nothing. He gave you less than Mitch. But
yes, but in today's day, who would you rather have, a Ben Wallace or Mitch?
I'm gonna say Ben Wallace in today's NBA, right? Because if we're talking about getting absolute zeros, I would rather know that I'm getting an absolute zero with Ben Wallace than to speculate that I might get something.
That I might get
something and still get an absolute zero.
And still
right? Yeah. So I go Ben Wallace because at least I know I'm getting nothing offensively. Mitch gives you the promise, and the most disheartening thing in life is when somebody promises you something and they don't give it to you.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? That's one of the most disappointing things in life. That's why I would take Ben Wallace over Mitch. right? Because I already know Ben Wallace is gonna have. If Ben Wallace is on this team with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, I already know we're gonna have the number one defense in the NBA.
Yes.
Right. And Ben Wallace stays healthy.
Yes. Yeah. But Freezy, I gotta leave it right there, sir.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Absolutely. But thank you again.
Daniel Jones is the GOAT. Daniel Jones is the GOAT. New York City.
Stand up. Next.
New York
Stop
City.
Playing.
Stand up.
Stop playing. Salute to you all.
New York. New York, stand up. Daniel Jones.
So nice. We had to say it twice.
New York. So nice.
New York.
Twice.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we don't know where this journey started, but we know where it ended. It ended it with you once again. Thank you for joining Freezy and myself. Look for us in the whirlwind. Garvey.
Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with the man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real, still the real Anthony D. And your main man, Jersey's finest, the hood representative, Uncle Freezy.